What's good, y'all? You Dub back here again, here in 2022. Let's get it. Now, I know a lot of people have talked about Nika, Sun God Nika in the One Piece community, especially when it first dropped. There was so much speculation. I watched a lot of videos. People talked about the powers and the abilities and what they expect, and they theorize, etc., etc., etc. We know to nauseam. But y'all know that's not what we do around here on my channel. We go deep diving, spelunking. That's cave. That's kind of like exploring in the cave, right? We go through the rabbit hole into the war and more on subjects. I wanted to talk about the depth of Nika, like the full holistic scope, and what Oda is seemingly trying to hit on. Now, you can say, wonder how can we know so much um, in such a short span of time? We really don't. That's what makes the beautiful thing. But we can gauge a sense from its actions, from how we know Luffy is, from lore, and more. We, put together the puzzle pieces of the clues. And listen, if you shout out to Tekking, but if you've seen Tekking, I mean, Tekking will go in for like 30, 40 minutes on speculation. So I don't want people. Oh, you ain't got much. Come on now. Come on. And plus, this is me. Y'all know how I get down on this channel. Anyways, without further ado, I actually have 13 points. Because Nika, it's so fascinating. It is so fascinating that Oda pulled this one out of the hat, out of seemingly left field. But then again, when you really sit back and think about it, you're like, damn, he put everything in place. All the puzzle pieces for pretty much the last, what was it, 1,043, 44 chapters. You know what I mean? So the first thing is what Joy Boy actually means. Okay. So Joy Boy is interesting. First of all, let's look at it on its head. Joy Boy. What does joy actually mean? Joy isn't the same as happiness. A lot of people say they chase happiness, they chase, they just want to be happy. We want to be happy for people. But I often say that happiness is temporary and fleeting. But if you go into the depths of it, like for example, the Declaration of Independence talks about the pursuit of happiness. That really means the pursuit of opportunity. If you want to say happiness, what is happiness? Happiness is a feeling of ecstasy. It's a feeling of contentment, of enjoyment in the moment. Okay, for lack of a better term. Joy, though, joy is the ability to be content and stable within oneself and enjoy. You don't want to use joy, but enjoy life for what it is in the moment. Joy, some of the most joyful people, they could be suffering, they could be going through it, but yet they still have a smile on their face. And it's so fascinating that Oda has used Wano with smiles, the arrow smile. He set that up with Doflamingo. You have the smile and devil fruits that forces people to smile. And people were still wondering if Chopper and more can be able to help these people. You got people like Killer that he hated his laugh, and Kid talks about that, but they were forced to laugh, forced to this fake happiness, this fake joy, right? True joy is internal and it lasts. Now, even though like for people like myself, this actually hits home because a lot of times I didn't have joy and peace in my life. But joy is something that, is really worked on. It's something that permeates your entire life. It helps you get through the hard times, through the struggle. So the boy, someone who brings forth the love for life, who brings forth Joy Boy would be someone who brings a smile, puts happiness, you could say, two people, brings forth life, brings forth contentment, brings forth a willingness to live, to continue to go on. So there's that aspect. Also, Joyoboyo or Jayabaya, people have talked about that. Indonesian king back during the 12th century. Apparently he was a seer. He could see ahead of time. He foresaw that the Dutch would overtake Indonesia in the future. He ruled during a very prosperous time. So that's kind of an allusion to the whole prophetic nature, the whole um, effect that the previous Joy Boy, it would seem that Zunisha knows, that the former Poseidon knew, who the Joy Boy who left the note on the poneglyph to Poseidon on Fishman Island. So Joy Boy is an actual interesting, very interesting thing. And when you look how Luffy gets down, Luffy, like things I talked about, Luffy has done that. Luffy embodies that in so many different ways. In his words, actions, and deeds. How he carries himself, how he lives his life. He was willing to die with a smile on his face. Now you can say that, wait, other characters with the D have done that, but Luffy literally in chapter 100, I believe it was, in Long Time, where Buggy was on the execution platform, he's like, I'm dead. And we know that Luffy smiled. We did smile. Let's put a smile. Why so serious? Let's put a smile on his face. The Joker would be proud. You see how Luffy gets down. Now he knows how to turn it very serious, but you see that this, the whole Nika aspect where it's just forcing this kind of comedic aspect. So it's interesting, this state of being, this high, if you will. We'll get back to that. Number two, what the sun actually embodies. Okay, more than the symbolism. Sun talks about life. Okay, the sun, the warmth. The sun is light. The sun is a guiding force. The sun brings the dawn. It brings the day. It brings hope. The sun rules the day. Okay, the sun is power. The sun, brings forth bounty and wealth and abundance. Okay, so the sun embodies a lot of these aspects. So you have the joy aspect, and you have this powerful entity which, you know, shines a light on aspects, brings wealth and bounty. It literally is a guiding force. It is a force that is essential to life. So we're having a lot with life here. We're having a lot with a very thriving life, right? Number three, what rubber indicates. Now, rubber is actually very, very fascinating. I've talked about in the past how it is actually one of the most OP abilities in the entire world, in the entire series of One Piece. Low key OP. And people did not want it. They think it's just rep. No, you do not understand. And again, I've talked in the past about the properties of rubber. Rubber is elastic. Rubber is malleable. Rubber is hardy. Rubber is a living paradox. Okay, rubber again, it bounces back. Rubber it has a polymer, so it can be able to stay together. Rubber doesn't really shred. Um, rubber is averse to water when it's done well. Rubber has many states of nature, so it's adaptable. Okay. Also, rubber comes from a natural substance, the sap from the resin from a tree, right? And that malleability, that adaptability, that various states of nature, you start to see why Oda is crafting the way that he is. It's not just a haphazard choice. Rubber's a very, very interesting choice. Luffy being Brazil, rubber trees. Also, this seeming primal. I talked about how Dragon in a previous video is the primal force. Luffy's primal, but a different type of primal. Dragon is a primal going back to antiquity. Luffy's a primal, but it's like the reemergence of primal, as he's the reemergence of Joy Boy. Uh, he's the adaptation for a new era, a new hope, a new dawn. You see how we're putting this together? So rubber, it expands. Rubber is in a hell of a lot of things. Rubber is inventive. Rubber's in our world heavily. Look at all the things that rubber's actually involved with. Just do excuse me, do a Google search on that and see how much rubber actually is affecting. So it's actually, while it is natural, it is inventive, it is pioneering, it is revolutionary in a lot of ways. Luffy happens to be a freedom fighter, and in his own ways, he's revolutionary without even trying, because that is his very nature. Just like Rubber's very nature, just like the sun's very nature, just like Joy's very nature. So Nika, literally, Luffy awakened to that as Luffy is awakening himself. See, moving on. Number 4, the meaning behind the name. So Nika is actually interesting. While Oda's done his own spin, when you look it up, Nike, you know, the brand, the label, you see swoosh and all that, it actually comes from a Greek goddess who's known for victory. Also, if you go into Niga or Negro or Negra, you get into black. Now, here's an interesting thing. You say, but Luffy seen, in the Gear 5th, Nika form, he's all white. Now, you can say that represents the sun, but if you start going into the etymologies, whether you want to take the victory route with that one, you want to go into the negro or negra, the black. Well, you start to get into the history. You start to get into what dealing with, highly intelligent people you want to talk about. Some people say the first people. I dispute some things to that degree, but you're going into people who develop societies, people who develop civilization. You also get into the aspect of slavery and more, and the whole freedom aspect versus being enchained. And you start to see it with Luffy. And you want to look and you can tie it in together through history. And you look at the One Piece world. Well, even with Wano, what was a big thing? Kaido talked about slavery. You look at tyranny. We'll get into the drums of liberation. Dun, 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 da, 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 da. Dun, 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 da, da, dun, da, 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 I've always loved Overtaken. Right? Put this in here. I've always loved Overtaken. Okay? And it's, we knew, it prepped for Luffy was ready to kick some ass. You know what time it was. Luffy was about to kick some ass. Them things going heavy. But the drum, doom, 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 doo, 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 doo. We'll get more into that. And I was actually I thought about starting off the video with that. But it's like that war drum, that militancy, you know, the the drums of liberation, drums of victory, the happiness, the vibe you get by feeling that. I always have a smile on my face listening to that. It always puts me at ease, always pumps me to like I can achieve shit. All right. That's what overtaken means to me in the ST in the OST, excuse me. And the meaning behind the name. However you want to take it, you know, whichever path you want to take it, maybe all of the above. Nika. Oda was very particular with that name. I know he had to be. Number 5, the metaphysical nature of the power. So, talked about imagination of the user, the creativity of the user, the ability to be ridiculous, to be comedic, to just embrace life, embrace a goofy aspect of things, to go out of your way to just have a blast while fighting, right? To go really and mold the world to how you feel whimsically. It's so interesting. And the fact that his body's just rubbery, the fact that he can expand, he can do these seemingly Looney Tunes, ridiculous, just ludicrous things. But at the same time, it's serious. And there's an interesting duality in that with this Nika power. It's an interesting that the sun, it shine on and expands, but at the same time, Luffy's still limited. He can be as creative if he wants to, but he's still limited. He can be seemingly broken, but he's still limited. But in those limitations, you gain power. It's really talking about the very nature on several levels and several layers that we can get into about life. And what really is life, right? What really is the nature of freedom? It is a fruit that embodies freedom. But freedom must come with limitations. Because without it, you get out of control. You get, you see how Luffy and in that freedom also comes at a cost, a heavy toll. Luffy's literally killing himself for that power. Sure, he can learn to use it better, but he's literally shaving off potential years of his life for that power. To have so much power, it comes at a cost. It always does. Don't misconstrue. A lot of people say they want this and that. Oh, I want to be wealthy. I want to be intelligent. There's always, and I mean always, a cost to everything. And are you willing to pay? People think they want something. Then either they get it or they don't understand that back end. They don't understand behind the scenes. They don't understand, if you're talking about intelligence, often the mental health struggles that the highly intelligent go through. The damn near, a lot of them becomes, they go insane a lot, or struggling with suicide or other mental health conditions, right? Wealth. All the things I can get into that the wealthy have to go through that people have no idea about, right? They just see the lavish lifestyles, but what comes with that? Power, right? What comes with that? With things like royalty and more, and you're not really that free. Luffy says he wants to be the freest man on the seas on the world. Well, in the process, look at the hell that Luffy's putting himself through. Just we're not even going through what his crew and the wild adventures they're going on. Look at what he's doing in the wake of the world, and look at the obstacles he has to face. Literally, there was a chapter called Noraku, called Hell. Luffy was getting his ass nearly died how many times versus Kaido alone? About 4? Kidding me? To attain where he's at. Look at what he's had to go through. Look at all the adversaries. Look at all the trials and tribulations he had to go through. Oh, he got earned. Luffy earned his. He earned his more than anybody. And he's got a power that will kill him. After all that, him even using that power, staying in that state, he was speeding up his damn heart. And we're not even talking about Gear Secundo, right? We're not even talking about Gear Fourth. Moving on. Number 6, the importance of the smile. Smiles indicate a lot. It's a universal thing, right? Doesn't matter what language you speak, doesn't matter which era you're in, it doesn't matter what, you know, things you go through life. Smiles, they can make people feel better. Smiles can indicate, now some things can be fake, but smiles are genuine. A genuine smile, you can see that regardless of whatever that person is going through in life, that person in that moment is embracing life. Oh, I'm still alive. I can think of a lot of songs. That was a bit of Pearl Jam. But, in that moment, that person is not having the weight of the world, not having a bunch of anxiety, a bunch of, stress, not dealing maybe with depression, or maybe regardless of that, that person's choosing to either, grit it and be resilient or not let that weigh down on him or her. The smile indicates that, you know, I'm not going to be beaten in spite of everything I go through in life. You know what? Or the smile can indicate satisfaction in that moment. Some good things have happened, or a great memory, and you cherish the bonds that you've built, those experiences that you've had. And doesn't that sound like what we are experiencing with Luffy? So once again, Luffy embodying Nika is literally embodying a whole ideology of life by just living it. And that's the thing about Luffy's character that I've always loved, is that he just lives life. And Nika is just literally explaining aspects of who Luffy is. It's interesting. Number 7, the reasons for the laughter. Okay, the reasons for the laughter come, I'll just say, at least for now, for 3 points. Number 1, the nature of who Luffy and of who Nika is, right? That just almost childlike, not childish, but childlike experience in life. They just exploratory nature. Number 2, the comedic, the funniness, the pranks, the over the top nature. Oh, I mean, come on. The things he was doing versus Kaido. What was that? Even characters like Law and Kid, the eye pop, it's just wild. It's just wild. It's just literally the embracing of the creative, the human side of things. Even though he's a god, again, the dualities. Gotta love it. And number 3, it's because he's high. People, shout out to JD Legend on this one. Talked about Coke Boy. I'm not quoting that way. Hey, but yeah, it seems like, I mean, all white, and they love to see white. How much you trying to pay? There's gonna be a lot of musical references in this video. Shout out to Jeezy. Shout out to Jeezy. Gotta love him. Back in them days, young Jeezy, and they love to see white. All right, it's coked up. I mean, you could say the stimulant, you want to say meth, you want to say crack. This dude, this is I mean, we're talking about South America. All right, the coca plant, and we need to talk about the endorphins and the adrenaline and whatnot. That's part of it. The dude is high. It's affecting his heart. If you know anything about cocaine, you know anything about cocaine, okay? You know what it does. Now, there's a detrimental. Once again, there's a detrimental Luffy. So if you want to say the Luffy's got the power of coke, I am not even bad. I'm not even opposed to it. Because the dude is literally high right now. He's high on life. That is what it is. This man is high on life. He high on something. And so Luffy, The Nika power is the power of being coked up. He's the power of high. Get high, get high. All right. Oh, oh, weed every day. This dude is literally higher than. This dude is beyond stone. This dude is on cloud 25, bro. That is what Sun God Nika is. So that smile, that laughter, this dude is having a blast. Okay. So he's having a blast with life. He's high as hell. And it's just this childish enjoyment. Or childlike enjoyment, not childish. So high as hell, Luffy. Gotta love it. Number 8, the side effects of the awakening. And I've already alluded to it. Alright, so number 1, it's the mannerisms, right? It has Luffy embracing, again, this heightened state of ecstasy. It's got Luffy. I mean, look at it. Look at the eyes, bro. Tell me this man ain't stoned. Let's go get stoned again. This dude is stoned. Okay? Can't tell me he's not. It literally embraces the all white, and they love to see white, the nature of it. The man dripping and straight blanco. Alright? Cocaine white. Alright? Not even platinum. Albino white. Right? I think it was Keelite to talk about an albino Negro. Albino black man. I mean, the jokes are great. Gotta love them. But yeah, man, it turned them all. It had the ability to affect the environment. Again, it's all three. It's all three. It's Zoan. He's a mythical Zoan, but Zoan, Paramecia, and Logia. I mean, we've seen Marco. All of them. It seems with mythical zones, when they awaken, they have the nature of all three devil fruits types. Okay, and you could say that they're their own. And I kind of put mythical zones out to their own because they're just on a different level, on a different one. And we love, you can love Logies, you can love Parameces. Some people rocks with zones. I know a lot don't, but still, these mythical zones are just built differently, bro. They're built differently, right? And Luffy, the very nature of everything, right? He is a Zoan. He affects the environment like the Paramecia, but then he's seemingly rubber itself. I mean, come on, it is what it is. And I think people have talked about the kind of sappiness. I think the whole resin thing, people are talking about that. I think we'll still get that again. He just is embracing his shit, right? Um, So we'll see what he does in Elbaf and moving forward. So Luffy's gonna be fucking broken. Luffy's gonna be fucking broken. Luffy's gonna be so broken, bro. Not even not the most broken character in the series, and he's gonna face some powerful adversaries. I mean, you got Teach, you got Sakazuki, potentially Imu, and more, right? Some a member of the Gorosei, potentially Rocks, Dizabek, and more. But it's just Luffy's gonna be so broken. Lin, potentially Kid. But he's gonna need it. He's gonna be broken, but he's gonna need it. You think Kaido was Shanks? You think Kaido's gonna be the last heavy hitter that he's gonna have to throw down? Wait, come on, come on, come on. This was Threshold, and Uncle Kaido was trying to train him. But yeah, the side effects, and you've heard me talk about it. He's gonna die more than likely. I mean, the thing is literally speeding up his heart. You could say it was Gear Secondo on steroids. I mean, Rob Lucci talked about how it's pretty much steroids, and I mean, hinted at him being his zone talked about his zone, another zone talked about his zone, right? But that was like a steroid. Steroids are a booster, and there are natural steroids. This is literally he forced a heart attack twice, if not 3 times. So when Kaido knocked him off into the water, he got resurrected. So you can just but literally the first time when Nika started beating, dum 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 dum, his heartbeat, he had to restart his heart. And then to get the Nika, he had to force his heart to start going. Like this was I'm trying to think of which character it was. in a series where they literally, oh, I know Jotaro Kujo, I believe he slowed his heart in JoJo's Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. Who oh, Hisoka. Hisoka in Hunter x Hunter. Shout out to the Beyond Greatness for coming back. But Hisoka restarts his heart, right? You can even look at it now with defibrillation back on Sky P restart his heart. That's what I say. Joker, in his own ways, kind of protect himself. So we've seen Devil Fruits do this. But Luffy's literally forcing his heart to go into overdrive. Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. Number 9. The nature of hockey. Hockey is willpower. Hockey, Luffy embraces these things. People have always said, "Oh, Luffy keep getting." Do you understand the nature of will? What is will? You explain it to me. Luffy's whole journey has been about will and the ambition to overcome. Conquer his hockey, the ambition to conquer, the ambition to, he doesn't necessarily want to rule, but to dominate, to, again, overcome, any obstacle, if you will. King of the Pirates, he talked about wanting to be the freest man on the sea. Put stuff together, folks. He's got to overcome seemingly indomitable wills of others. And so, Nika being about freedom and liberation, Nika being about bringing forth enjoyment, bringing forth a dawn, bringing freedom in a lot of ways, right? Bringing forth abundance. That ideology, that will to want to do that, is going to innately come into conflict with those who would rather that not be, who want stability, who want repression, who want oppression, who rule tyrannically, who want to dominate others. Well, that will is going to come in like a wrecking ball. It's going to come in like Mjolnir. It's going to come in like a sledgehammer, John Henry sledgehammer, and smash through that shit. It's it's interesting how Luffy is not going out of his way to make people think the way that he does. He's not going out of his way to make people believe the way that he does. He's not going out of his way for a variety of things. But because of Luffy's very nature, because of his views, because of how he lives his life, it's just going to innately oppose certain aspects. And that's just how it is. Again, I talk about the duality of life. Again, I talk about the living paradox. If you're about freedom, you cannot stand by, even if it's, because Luffy talks about he's selfish, he's no hero. But because of the things he values, because of the people that he values, because of the bonds that he makes, he cannot stand by and watch suffering happen. What did he say? He just want to see people eat, bro. And it seems so simple, but the profound nature, I've talked about that in a previous video addressing a Luffy. Hey, if you understand the nature of starvation and what that symbolizes and indicates, that goes against the nature of freedom. Freedom, again, there is a freedom within parameters. Like Luffy's not just acting buck wild out here, just doing any old kind of anything to anybody. But that goes against the very nature of living in abundance, which Nika indicates because of the whole sun aspect. Sun, overbearingly can burn, it can do a lot of things, but there's a lot of good to the sun. And again, it brings the abundance with crops and more. And if you look in ancient Egypt, for example, and how they worship the sun Ra or Amun Ra, right? And the sun god, you look at Helios, you look at Apollo, You look at these various is it Amaterasu? I don't want to mistake. I'm trying to think of Japanese lore. But anyways, there's different worship of the sun. There are some literal sun worshippers today, Lord have mercy. But that's a that separate joke for another time. Anyways, point being that, you know, there, there's a there's a whole thing, man. There's a whole thing with freedom, and hockey and more. And again, if I didn't transition, what is freedom? Freedom is the ability, because it's number 10. Freedom is the ability to do as you desire, really, without restraint. And again, I said there needs to be necessary parameters on freedom so that, absolute freedom, you can do anything, and that's very, very destructive. But freedom, yes, the ability to do what you want without restraint. Now, the laws of physics, the laws of nature, the laws of mathematics are natural restrictions on that. So we can't ever be absolutely free. But yeah, the freedom to do, go where you want to, eat what you want, do as you desire, you know, play this, think that, create this, build that, construct this. You feel me? Just be able to just chill out if you want to do that. Relax. You know what I mean? Listen to music. Do what do what you desire to do. And really, as long as your freedom doesn't impose on other people's freedom, whether we agree or disagree, that's the nature of freedom. And a lot of people don't want or know how to be free. First of all, freedom in your mind. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Bob Marley talked about it in Redemption Song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Your mental blockers. Oh, what do we have here? Yamato and Momonosuke in this very arc. It wasn't just the physical chains. It wasn't just the tyrannical regime of Shogun Orochi and dragging God over here, 100 beasts, land, sea, and air, king of the beast, Kaido. It was the mental, especially for Yamato. It was the mental. Luffy removes that shit. You saw what Luffy did with Udon, with the prisoners of Udon, taking their burdens on like he was a messiah figure, almost Christ-like, or some godly shit. Told you that man a god. You look at what he did with Vivi. Everybody. Zoro physically got him on out of there. Usopp saved Syrup Village. Nami got her out of the hell and her folk. Sanji helped the Baratie, but helped Sanji get out his shackles. The shackles. And there is the actual physical representation. Luffy, people have talked about Luffy's been captured multiple times too. And there's that. But, Nico Robin, getting her out of her situation 2 times over. With Sir Crocodile on Alabasta and with Cypher Pole 9, CP9, right? The world government. Then you and that as well as save her from a past. Frankie. Frankie was interesting. Oh, Chopper helped out with the whole Drum Kingdom situation with before I forgot about Chopper. Lord have mercy, I can't stand Drum Island. But anyways, it has importance, but I can't stand it. So Chopper with that whole situation with Wapple, Wapple. Then Frankie, it's kind of interesting. Frankie's is just interesting all around. And then there's Brook. It's obvious. Jinbei, I mean, with his folks literally getting him out of Impel Down and more. So his folks on Fishman Island, him with the new Fisherman Pirates on Whole Cake Island. Again, Yamato with the whole thing with her dad, the whole thing with Wano and more. So this is what it is, man. And when you understand the nature of freedom, everything is just like completing. With Luffy, with Nika, it just is like it's the glue to all of it, if not the foundation. It's freedom. Nika represents freedom in so many different ways. In all of the aspects with the sun, with the joy, with the laughter, the smile, the rubber, it's all freedom. It's all about freedom. So the devil fruit is perfect for Luffy. Probably the most perfect devil fruit out of anyone with anything. Even before Law, before Kid, shoot, before Ace and Sabo. Sakazuki's up there though. I'll put it up there. Akainu's, his is pretty good for him. The Admirals, theirs fit pretty well. Sakazuki's is up there. It's not above Luffy, but his is up there. Doflamingo's is definitely up there. Sir Crocodile in a lot of ways is up there. Like there's some other characters who definitely fit theirs very, very well. Katakuri's, and you can see their expert mastery of it, right? But yeah, Luffy, Dragon, well, Kaido with his, Lin with hers. They fit very, very well. Teach is an interesting case, but Luffy, it doesn't get much more perfect. It doesn't. Luffy is pretty much perfect with his depth fruit. Oda did a masterful job there. Moving on. The drums of liberation means militant, revolutionary, and self-sacrifice. I mean, I've talked about it. I won't go too in depth at this point, but that's literally what it means. The drums of liberation, bro. It's obvious to me. War drums. That stuff is intimidating, but war drums and what it indicates. And so while Luffy isn't doing exactly how his pops is doing, it's in a very similar vein. I mean, he is his father's son, and definitely we can see in that case. And we see that his brother Sabo. You feel me? So that's kind of what it is. It's militant, it's revolutionary, and it's self-sacrifice. Again, embodying what Luffy's getting down as. Number 12, the psychology behind Nika. Now we can go pretty in depth with this, but I'll keep it pretty simple and brief. It's someone who doesn't overthink life, but at the same time, someone who understands life, someone who is a balance of embracing the moment, really embracing the moment, to a detriment of oneself, but that leads to self-sacrifice, the one who do that. But at the same time, it's someone whose will is so strong that he's going to do as he desires. And by doing that, you would say, whoa, isn't that solipsistic? Isn't that narcissistic? No. It's just a full embracing and understanding of one's self. And kind of an almost seeming like a hard-headed way, but it's not really that. It's not a not understanding of life. It's just this resilient mind. It's a mind that is firmly founded in its foundations. A mind that is, this is what it is, and I'm going to be what I'm going to be. And that way, while the mind is highly creative, while the mind is it's both highly creative as well as it seems like it's static, seemingly static. It's just it has its foundation, and it can go in easy mode. We've seen Luffy go into easy mode, but we've also seen him have these peaks of just wild imagination. So it's a very fascinating mental state that you don't really see people have. People have tried to call Luffy stupid. They've tried to call Luffy. No, he's actually highly intelligent. He's actually a genius in a lot of different ways. His creativity is genius. It's just that from a superficial appearance, Luffy may appear that it is now he was naive to certain things, but Luffy's actually very, very deep. And his understanding of life, his understanding of how he navigates, his understanding of just, and he does things, he does it almost in the art of nothingness, in a state, in a kind of martial arts kind of way. And you look at it, the dude is a fighting genius. He just naturally gets shit. His emotional intelligence, by and large, is out of this world. It is godly. He can read people. Now he's not perfect, but his ability to read others' thoughts and emotions and stuff is stupidly high. So it's a psychology that it is very, very layered in, but it's built on duality with the premise that it has to it with the psychology like that, you have to be stable mentally. And see, a lot of people today are not mentally stable. They're unbalanced. And so to someone who's stable, it seems like that person is just is abnormal. It's just it well the person is would be abnormal if most are, not stable. But for the instability of the world to have someone who's seemingly stable, well that's just it's it takes people aback. But that's also why we love Luffy. It's because he is stable in his mind. He doesn't really crack, which goes into his hockey, which goes into the very nature of what he does, which goes into the nature of Nika. While even in that moment, Luffy doesn't break. And the only time we seen Luffy break was because of Ace's death, which is a very traumatic. I mean, it's the death of your brother. That's very, very traumatic. But Luffy doesn't break, regardless of whatever the obstacles are. He's fallen the way of the warrior. Even though he ain't on exactly Zoro time, he's fallen the way of the warrior because he accepts death. He accepts death. He's 19. He accepts death. That's incredible. And finally, last but certainly not least, the identity of Nika. Now, Nika, joy boy, bringing joy. We even see it in a recent chapter, 1052, time of this recording, how they were saying someone like Joy Boy, and then the nature of Joy Boy, people remember as the sun god. You know, he he's a legacy bringer. The things that he does, someone called Joy Boy, someone, people don't know the name, but it doesn't matter. It goes down in history. The identity of Nika, does it really matter? Does it really matter that it's Luffy? Does it matter if people know it's Luffy? Does Luffy care? No, it's not about the fame. It's not about celebrity. It's not about, infamy getting your name out in history, even though you will. It's about doing what he feels, more so doing what he desires, more so doing things to free, to help, doing things that he wills. The identity of Nika, while it's a remembrance of a person who did things, we don't remember the name. The same thing with Joy Boy. We don't remember the name, right? History won't remember, but it remember the accolades. It remember the accomplishments. It'll remember what the symbolism was. So it's kind of a transcendence, if you will, godly. That Nika is remembered, if not worshipped, because of what Nika symbolizes. Hell, they associate Nika with the sun. Think about that. They associate Nika with the dawn, with freedom itself. And that's just a beautiful thing. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Um, how do you view Nika? How do you view this whole development? Is there other aspects of it that I may have missed that you can bring up? I'd love to hear what y'all have to say. Till next time, have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace. And yeah, man, you know, smile sometime, laugh sometime, find some enjoyment out of life. It'll help you feel better. It may help change your perspective. And while you're going through struggles, find those good moments. Find the small things in life that can bring joy. You know, don't get caught too deeply into the depression. Don't, the things with suicide, things of stress and anxiety, whether it be work, whether it be kids, whether it be family, whether it just be medical conditions and others. And I'm not talking about ignoring them. I go through my own stuff. I go through my own shit. But embrace life. We do only live once, you know. And then, as the years go by, as the days go by, time is something you cannot get back. You may be able to get back resources, you may be able to get back finances and more. Create memories, because those are what last. Honestly, live a bit more like Luffy. Live a bit more like Nika. You know, not telling you to go out of your way to do things, but sometimes if there's a problem you see in your community, stand up. Help out that kid. Help out that person who's struggling. Help out that person who's being harassed, who's being bullied, who's going through it. Stand in for that other person. You know, not telling you how to live your life, but honestly, live a bit more like Nika. Maybe not go as far as an extreme, but there's nothing wrong with doing a bit more. Doing a bit more to bring a positive, beneficial aspect to the world around you, to your environment. We may not be Superman, but we don't have to be.